Lennox Clarke was a national recognised boxer. He had the qualities of being agile, strong-willed, and as tough as they came. The former British and Commonwealth super-middleweight champion had saw his income drop a little bit when he stepped away from boxing. The boxer, who was from the Stourbridge area, being West Midlands, also had previous convictions for selling Class B. This was way back in 2012. When he was arrested and taken in front of a judge, he had pleaded for leniency, and that was granted to him. However, Lennox sought to make himself a big-time kingpin, and he was sourcing large quantities of Class A, both H and white. Now, police say concerned members of the public had gone to Gloucestershire police with intel to say that there were county lines and massive drug operations happening in Cheltenham. So police had to investigate, and when they investigated the county lines, their inquiries led them to a known dealer called Ben Goff, whom he himself had just moved back to Cheltenham when the drug usage began to increase. Now, police put two and two together, and they came to the realization that Ben was the main man buying large quantities of Class A, white and H from Lennox Clarke. Police tracked Ben's movements and saw him make over a dozen trips from his home in Cheltenham to the West Midlands for what was described as short-term and fairly clandestine meetings with Lennox Clarke, which would last for no longer than 20 minutes. The meetings between Ben and Lennox and his associates would take place in the most random spots, like lay-bys, Asda car parks, and even boxing gyms. Ben would then get back in his car and travel back from the West Midlands to his home in Cheltenham. The decision was then made, and police put a surveillance team on Ben, in which Ben was arrested after a meeting in which he was found to be holding under a kilo of Class A. Now, while Ben was put on remand, Lennox managed to go into hiding and eventually flee the country. He knew that he would be the next person arrested. Police says that Ben was actually picking up drug from Lennox Clarke, which made the former welterweight champion boxer the kingpin, and Ben Goff being the big-time dealer that was putting Class A on the streets of Cheltenham. Now, police attempted to track down Lennox Clarke, but they were always at least 48 hours behind Lennox's movements. Police believe Lennox went through Wales, then took a ferry to Ireland, and then spent some time on the run in Thailand after using different names to enter the country. From Thailand, police says that Lennox used his connections to travel to places like Mexico, where he slept in hostels and local hotels. Eventually, it took its toll on Lennox because he had enough of looking over his shoulder, as he knew that he was a wanted man, and he saw evidence that police were closing in on him. This was no way to live his life. So eventually, he returned back to the UK where police were awaiting for him. He was then put on curfew for over 300 days. Now, Lennox Clarke's downfall came specifically because people grasped on him. People went to the police and says that a drug operation was happening in Cheltenham. Police then found Ben Goff was the one that was supplying Class A, and then they linked Ben Goff to Lennox Clarke because of the amount of times he travelled from Cheltenham to the West Midlands. In court, Lennox Clarke was jailed for 6 years and 4 months. The judge berated Lennox Clarke during sentences and explained that the former boxer had not learnt his lesson from his previous conviction of selling Class B. Does the crime match the sentence? Let me know. Stay safe, safe.